King Arthur's Knights, Chapter 4, Part 2. If you will promise to tell no one, I will reveal it. Sir Launcelot gave his promise, and Beaumains, going closer, whispered some words into Sir Launcelot's ear. "Ah, sir," said Sir Launcelot, taking the young man's hand in his, "I am glad I was not deceived. I knew you must come of great kin, and that you had not come to King Arthur for meat or drink. Kneel now, and I will make you a knight." So Beaumains knelt before Sir Launcelot, who lightly touched him on the shoulder with his sword, naming him knight. Thereupon they parted with many kind words, and Beaumains made haste to overtake the damsel who had long since disappeared. As for Sir Kay, he was lifted upon Sir Launcelot's shield and taken back to the court, and there slowly he recovered of his wound. Men laughed him to scorn for the beating he had received from his own kitchen boy. "Lo," said some, "the proud knight went forth to cuff his own scullion, and the scullion beat him sore and took his weapons for spoil." When Beaumains reached the side of the damsel, she pulled up her horse and turned upon him with flashing eyes and angry looks. "What dost thou here?" she cried. "Away from me! Thou smellest of the kitchen, knave. Pah! Thy clothes are foul with grease and tallow. Dost thou think to ride with me?" "Lady," said Beaumains, and he spoke full gently, "my clothes may be smirched, but my arm, I trust, is as strong to defend you as any that is wrapped in silk." "Out upon thee, saucy churl!" she cried. "Thinkest thou I would allow for that knight whom you thrust from his horse but now? Nay, not a whit do I, for thou didst strike him foully and like a coward. I know thee well, for Sir Kay named you. Beaumains you are, dainty of hands and of eating, like a spoilt page. Get thee gone, thou turner of spits and washer of greasy dishes." But for all that she raved, Beaumains would not reply in angry words, though his heart burned within him. "Damsel," said he courteously, "ye may say what ye will to me, but I will not go from you, whatever you say. I have given my promise to King Arthur that I will achieve this adventure for you, and that will I do, or die in the trial of it." The girl laughed mockingly. "You will finish your adventure. You will come to our aid," she cried in scorn. "Fie on thee, thou upstart kitchen page! But if you will not go from me, then come, fool, and I shall see thee quickly shamed. Thou art proud with the too good living thou hast in Arthur's kitchen, but one I know whose face thou wilt not dare to look into, my knight of the kitchen." So saying, she pushed her horse on, and thus in silence they went on together. In a little while they came to a dark wood, and suddenly as they rose, a man with white scarred face started from behind a bush and ran to the side of Beaumains. "Go not that way, Sir Knight," he said, "for there be 6 knaves who have taken my lord and bound him. And now they will surely take you and your lady unless you go back. I barely escaped with my life, and hid when I heard you, thinking you were of their thievish company." "Take me to them," cried Beaumains, and the poor squire, holding the knight's stirrup leather, ran with him. And surely, in a little while, 3 knaves rushed forth before them in the green drive, and bade Beaumains stand. But grimly he dashed at them before ever they could recover. 2 he cut down with his good sword as they stood, and the third, trying to escape, was run between the shoulders. Then turning, Beaumains saw in a glade near the drive where 3 other knaves stood beside a knight bound to a tree. They dashed toward Beaumains with spiked clubs uplifted, but the squire rushed at one, tripped him up, and dispatched him, and the others suddenly decided to turn and flee. Their resolution came too late, however, for Beaumains cut them down as they ran. The knight was quickly released by his squire, and came up to his rescuer and thanked him heartily for his speedy help. Come with me, he said, you and your lady, to my castle, which is but a little way hence, and I will fittingly requite thee for saving of my life. Nay, said Beaumains, I will have no reward. All I do henceforth is but my duty, and I will take naught in payment. Moreover, I must follow this lady. The knight went to the lady and begged that she would accept his hospitality, for the twilight was deepening, and they were yet far from a town. The damsel consented, but on reaching the castle of the knight, she would not permit Beaumains to sit at the same table with her. Take the knave hence, she cried haughtily. He is but a scullion from King Arthur's kitchen, and is not fit to sit with a lady of rank. He is more suited, Sir Knight, to dine with your turnspits. Lady, I do not understand your words, said the knight, for this gentleman hath proved himself a man of knightly courage and courtesy this day. As for that, said the lady, I count it naught. He took the rascals unawares, and they had no heart. They were but sorrier knaves than he is. Well, said the knight, since you mislike him so, he shall sit with me, and you shall sit alone. So it was done, and while the lady sat eating her meal in chilly silence at one table, Beaumains and the knight, his host, laughed and talked merrily over their dinner at another. Next morning early, Beaumains and the lady were up and away, while yet the dew shone on the leaves. Soon they passed through a great forest and approached a wide river. In a little while they rode down to where a rough paved way ran into the water, and looking to the other bank, Beaumains was aware of two knights on horseback, stationed as if to hinder his passing the ford. Now, Sir Kitchen Knight, laughed the lady mockingly, what sayest thou? Art thou a match for these two knights, or wilt thou not turn back? I would not turn back if they were six, replied Beaumains quietly. With that, he rushed with spirit rest into the ford, and one of the waiting knights came swiftly against him. They met in the midst with so great a shock that their spears were splintered. They then closed fiercely with their swords and hurtled about in the foaming, dashing water, beating at each other. Suddenly Beaumains struck the other so hard a stroke on his helm that he was stunned and fell from his horse into the stream, which whirled him away into the deeps and there drowned him. Then Beaumains rode swiftly toward the other knight, who, with his lance, dashed against him. But Beaumains parried the spear stroke, and with one great heave of his sword, clove the other's helm in twain, so that the knight fell like a stone. Alas, cried the lady as she came across the ford, that ever kitchen knave should have the mishap to slay two such noble knights. Doubtless thou thinkest thou hast done mightily, Sir Knight of the Turnspit, but I saw well how it all happened. The first knight's horse stumbled on the stones of the ford, and the other thou didst stab from behind. 'Twas a shameful deed. Damsel, said Beaumains, quiet in words, though hot of mind in her words, ye may say what ye will. I only know that I fight fairly, as God gives me strength. I reck not what ye say, so I win your lady's sister from her oppressor. Thou knave of impudence, cried the lady. Thee to speak of winning my lady's sister, high of rank and rich in wide lands as she is. But thou shalt soon see knights that shall abate thy pride. Whatever knights they be, I care not, so that I win good words from you at last, said Beaumains. Those thou shalt never have, thou churl, replied the lady scornfully. For all that thou hast done has been by chance and misadventure, and not by the prowess of thy hands. But if thou wilt follow me, why then come, and I shall the more quickly be rid of thee, for of a surety thou wilt soon be slain. Beaumains answered not, and they went on their way. Thus they fared until evensong, and then they came to a wasteland, where their way led through the narrow, darkling valley. And at the head thereof they entered upon a wide land, black and drear to the very skies, and beside the way was a black hawthorn, and thereon hung a black banner and a black shield. And by it, stuck upright, was a long black spear, and beside it was a great black horse covered with silk, and a black stone fast by it. And upon the stone sat a knight in black armor, at sight of whom the damsel cried, "Now, my kitchen knight, 'tis not too late. Fly back through the valley, or this knight will surely slay thee." "Nay, I will not," said Beaumains, "for I fear him not." The Black Knight came to the damsel and asked if she had brought this knight from King Arthur's court to be her champion. "Fie," she said angrily, "he is no knight. He is but a knave that was fed for alms in the king's kitchen, and would follow me in spite of all I say. And I would that you would rid me of him. Today he slew 2 noble knights at the passage of the water, and all by evil chance." "A strong knave, in truth," answered the knight, "and a saucy one. Then this will I do. He shall leave me his horse and armor, for since he's but a knave, my knightly hands may not harm him." "You speak lightly of my horse and armor," said Beaumains, "but I will have you know that you get naught from me, and moreover, I will pass these lands with this lady in spite of you." "Thou knave," cried the knight angrily, "yield me this lady and thyself without ado." "Let me see what thou canst do to take us," replied Beaumains, and laughed gaily. At this, the knight in a rage leaped upon his horse, and they thundered together. The Black Knight's spear broke, but Beaumains' lance pierced him through the side and broke off short. Nevertheless, though badly wounded, the Black Knight drew his sword and fought manfully, striking Beaumains many mighty blows and bruising him sorely. But suddenly his lifted sword fell from his hands, and turning in his saddle, he dropped to the ground in a swoon and shortly died. And Beaumains, seeing the black armor was better than his own, armed himself in it with the aid of his dwarf squire, and rode after the damsel. But ever as before she railed at him, telling him he had conquered the Black Knight by a cowardly blow. But Beaumains would answer her nothing in anger. Anon they came to the edge of a vast and dark forest, and from its shadows came a knight in green armor, who cried to the damsel, "Lady, is that my brother the Black Knight, whom ye bring riding behind ye?" "Nay, sir knight, it is not your brother," she replied. "It is but a kitchen knave, who by treachery hath slain your noble brother, the Knight of the Black Lands." "Thou traitor!" cried the Green Knight. "Now shalt thou surely die, for my brother, Sir Parcard, was a most noble knight and a valiant, and to think that he fell by the dirty hands of a knave is great shame." "I am no knave," said Beaumains, "but of lineage as high as thine may be, and I slew your brother in knightly fashion." But the Green Knight stayed not to answer, and they hurtled together and clashed midway as if it were thunder. And Beaumains' stroke was so mighty that both the Green Knight and his horse fell to the ground. Swiftly the Green Knight rose to his feet, and then, Beaumains having alighted, they rushed together with their swords, and stood a long time hacking, thrusting, and parrying, and each hurt the other sorely. "Oh, my lord, the Green Knight," cried the damsel, "why do ye stand so long fighting with that kitchen knave? A shame it is to see a proved knight matched by a dirty scullion. Slay him for me and be done." Shamed by her words, the Green Knight gave a fierce stroke and clove Beaumains' shield in twain. Then Beaumains, smarting with this blow, and in anger at the words of the lady, suddenly gave the Green Knight so great a stroke that he fell upon his knees, and then was thrust groveling upon the earth. Swiftly Beaumains cut the fastenings of his helm, and tearing it off, lifted his sword to strike off the other's head. But the Green Knight prayed of his mercy and pleaded hard for his life. "Thou shalt plead in vain," said Beaumains, unless this lady shall beg thy life of me. Shame on thee, thou kitchen knave, cried the lady, biting her lip with anger. Thinkest thou I shall crave aught of thee, and be so beholden to thee? Then he shall die, cried Beaumans. Ho, lady, suffer me not to die, cried the prostrate knight, when a fair word from you will save my life. And you, sir knight, give me my life, and I will yield myself and 30 knights to be your men and do your commands while they live. Now that is a grievous shame, cried the lady. What, Sir Green Knight, art such a coward as to crave thy life of a scullion knave, and promise him 30 knights of service? You and your 30 knights shall avail you not, said Beaumans grimly, and since this lady will not beg thy life of me, why, now I shall slay thee. And with that, he raised the sword. And we are going to pause and continue with the story in the next video. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Thanks so much for watching. I love you guys, as Tigger says. Ta-ta for now.